The flat panel monitor has taken over the desktops of millions of Americans nationwide. As the bulky but reliable CRT monitor has become completely and utterly obsolete due to its hazardous materials, size, and weight, the LCD panel definitely capitalizes on those limitations. But the LCD panel has limitations of its very own. Dark limitations. Literally. When the inverter board fails on an LCD panel, it can cost more than the panel itself to repair it, if you're not an electronics wizard, which I am not. Or you're going to go out and buy another panel, another LCD display itself. And that's just expensive too. But there is one other option. As long as the LCD panel itself and all the electronics that drive it, such as the video driver and power supply, are still functioning, you can do one really cool thing. Ready? That's right. You can make your own backlight box. This is a 19-inch Acer LCD panel that I basically refitted into an Acer laptop box from 1999. It originally contained a Pentium 3, 600 megahertz, with a 6 gig drive. That's right, the 521 TXV. This box was the perfect size for the 19-inch Acer LCD panel. Let me show you how it's done. Basically, we've mounted the front controller board to the side of the box. This contains the controls for all the basic LCD functions, menu options, etc., and power, and housed it all in this nice little box. As you can see, the video input jack is mounted on the front because that's where the video driver board is located, which is right next to the power supply, which forces the power input jack to the left of the box. But why or how is it lighting up? I mean, after all, the fluorescent tubes no longer function, the inverter board doesn't function, so I couldn't replace the tubes. That's where my friend, the CCFL light bulb, comes in. Cold compact fluorescent light bulb. Or cold cathode, whatever. Or through this convenient access panel, we can see the bulb and its pull chain socket, which I'm going to turn off because it's blinding me. The bulb that I chose is a 150 watt equivalent Sylvania bulb. It draws 40 watts, and as you can see from the light on the other side of the room, you can actually see right through the display. And how I made this work is I stripped off all backlighting components from the panel. I'm going to show you in a minute how the panel is assembled and what I removed. But what I was left with was an LCD panel that is about 1/8 of an inch thick, very fragile, and very functional. The ribbon cable is mounted on the bottom, which is actually the top. We'll go over this in a minute. But on the very bottom of this panel, the ribbon cable, or flex circuit cable, runs underneath this cardboard support tray to the video driver board, which is mounted actually directly under this light socket. The cardboard shelf separates the high voltage components for the power supply, and which supplies power to this light bulb as well. It protects those components from being exposed to the individual replacing the light bulb. This is designed to be serviceable, unlike other displays. In order to diffuse the light, I should have mounted a panel just after the light bulb, like a frosted diffuser, but I didn't have time and I just wanted to make it work. So anyhow, before you get mad at me for not fixing this, and I know it was repairable, the entire unit was dropped originally, and it was only about a year old. The dropping actually cracked the housing. The only thing that survived, ironically, was the LCD panel. It didn't break, but everything behind it did. So let's take a look at how the LCD panel is assembled. I have this nice convenient drawing here. This is a cross section from the side, from here. The first layer is the thin film transistor display, which is basically a glass panel. I believe it's two razor thin glass sheets with the thin film transistor media or components sandwiched in the middle. Behind that, you'll see a light filter, about 3 light filters, a Fresnel lens, which diffuses the light. It's basically a flat magnifier. And behind that is maybe another light diffuser. Light diffuser sheets look a lot like rice paper, but they're plastic. The very final layer is a thick sheet of Lexan, or plexiglass, which is used to collect light from the fluorescent tubes on the top and the bottom. And immediately behind that panel is a very thin sheet of opaque white plastic which reflects the light forward. Pretty cool. And by removing all this junk, including the metal frame that encompasses it, I was able to shine light directly through without any inhibiting factors. And there you have it. And the part that failed is the inverter board, which supplies power to the fluorescent tubes. It's that simple. And with about $5 in materials and a couple of sodas, you can fix an LCD panel yourself. I'm not suggesting anyone do it, because as you can see, the functionality is a little limited. I love that pulse chain starter. The image is good. It's just the lighting is pretty bad. There's some shadows. You can actually see from here to here where the corners of the light box really are, and from there to there. And then it's not perfect, but it does work. In the bare function of work, basic function. But because of its efficient lighting, it has earned the Energy Star Compliance logo, and I'm proud of that. And it is still an Acer, because it was an Acer panel in an Acer box. And it still has a convenient carrying handle for those mobile computing moments. I hope you've enjoyed. Drive safe.